Accents on the verb. Accents on the verbs are fairly straightforward. But before we can get started, there are a few basics we need to cover. First of all, we need to learn which vowels are long and which vowels are short. Greek has 7 vowels: alpha, epsilon, eta, iota, omicron, upsilon, omega. Of these vowels, epsilon and omicron are always short, while eta and omega are always long. So that just leaves alpha, iota, and upsilon as ambiguous, since they can be long or short. But as we'll see, this is not going to be too much of a problem when we're dealing with the accents on verbs. A vowel often forms a diphthong when followed by either iota or upsilon. So alpha plus iota gives you I, alpha plus upsilon gives you au, epsilon plus iota gives you a, epsilon plus upsilon gives you eu. Eta plus iota gives you a with the iota subscript. Eta plus upsilon gives you eu. Omicron plus iota gives you oi, and omicron plus upsilon gives you oo. And omega plus iota gives you o with the iota subscript. Now notice that iota and upsilon don't make diphthongs with themselves. Diphthongs are long most of the time. The exceptions are I and oi, highlighted on the slide. For the purposes of accentuation, I and oi are usually short. Now after we discuss the rules of accentuation, we'll come back and see how we can tell the instances when I and oi in verbs are long. The accent of the Greek verb is recessive. This means that the accent tries to sit on the syllable farthest from the end. The Greek accent can only sit on one of the last 3 syllables of any word. And these are referred to as the ultima, the last, the penultima, the one before the last, and the antepenultima, the one before the last. But we can just refer to them by their initials, A, P, U. There are 3 accents that appear on Greek words: acute, circumflex, and grave. Now the grave will not concern us here, since it only occurs in specific circumstances that we'll deal with when we get to accents on the nouns and pronouns. The acute and circumflex are restricted to certain syllables, whereas the acute can sit on any of the last 3 syllables of a word. The circumflex can only sit on the last 2. So we'll come back to the circumflex when we focus on contract verbs. So for now, we're just going to focus on the acute. The acute accent on the verb tends to recede toward the antepenultima. However, if the final syllable is long, the acute accent will be on the penultima.
Okay, so let's try some examples. So now we have the first one is luo. We have 2 syllables with the ultima being long, and so the accent will be on the penult, acute on the penult. All right, next one, luomen has 3 syllables with the last syllable being short, and so the accent will go on the upsilon as an acute on the antepenult. Luete, same thing. We have 3 syllables with the last syllable being short, and the accent will go on as an acute on the antepenult. Here we have 3 syllables again, but this time the ultima is long, and so the accent will be on the penult, acute. Now this one we have a new rule is going to kick in because we have a short ultima, but also a long penult. And that triggers our long short rule, which says that if the ultima is short and the penult takes the accent, it will be a circumflex. All right, so let's move on to the next row. We have paiduo, again, 3 syllables with omega being long. And then we have the accent then will be on the second syllable, which is this diphthong u, paiduo. In the next one, we have 4 syllables. The ultima, however, is short, and so the accent wants to go to the third syllable, back of the antepenult, which is pi. In the next one, we have 3 syllables, though the ultima is long, paidu seis, so the ace is long, and so then the accent will go on the u. Paidu son, the ultima is short, right? And so the accent will go on the antepenult, pi. Now let's look at didaske. So didaske has 3 syllables with the ultima being long, and so the will take an acute on the penult. Didaske has same 3 syllables, only that the last syllable is short, and so the accent will be on the antepenult. Didaskon has the same principle. We have a short ultima, accent goes on the antepenult. Oops. And then the last one, we have didakso. Last syllable is long, so we're going to have an acute on